A long time ago, the energy from the heavens collided with the ground, creating Lake Gyeongcheon Daeho, which was charged with magical energy. Around this lake, Daeho emerged, a country that doesn't exist in history books, as well as the wizards, individuals who have the power to control the lake's energy. The king of this country is fatally ill and cannot bear the thought of dying without leaving an heir to his lineage. Therefore, he summons Jang Uk, a powerful wizard working on a forbidden spell for soul swapping between bodies. But the likelihood of this magic going awry is high. A soul may not be compatible with another body, causing the new owner to savagely attack other humans in search of energy to avoid turning into stone. Despite knowing this, the king asks the wizard to practice soul alchemy so that they can switch bodies for just 7 days, and he finds a woman to conceive his heir. With no choice, the wizard complies with the king's orders using a mysterious orb. In another dimensional sphere, the soul exchange takes place. However, the wizard did not expect that the chosen woman to conceive would be his own wife, Do-hwa, who, unaware that her true love is trapped in another body, surrenders herself to the king. 20 years later, we meet Jang Uk, the son conceived from that incident. However, he has no idea that he is the true heir of this country. He is in the mountains training with his 12th master, who, like all the others, refuses to teach him spells. He does not understand and does not accept this. He soon dismisses him, as he will continue his search for someone better who can help him unleash his magic. Irritated, the wizard scorns him, citing the rumor circulating in the city. Uki is the illegitimate son of Jang Uk, who abandoned him. On the other side of the mountains, Naksu, the greatest assassin sorceress, is facing Park Jin, the leader of Songgrim, Daeho's most powerful wizard organization. She fights for her life on the frozen lake, but despite her numerous sword and magic skills, she is wounded by a precise arrow, and the only way out is to flee. To survive, she risks swapping bodies with someone while being pursued. She dismisses the first woman for being blind and drags another to perform the sorcery. Park Jin and his soldiers arrive at the scene and find Naksu's body with the blue mark, signaling that the soul has been exchanged. Upon searching the only other woman present at the scene, no corresponding mark was found, suggesting that Naksu failed to switch bodies and is truly dead. Her body and sword are then taken. Now something strange has occurred, and the powerful assassin's soul has ended up transferred to that first blind girl. Her name is Mu Deok-i, and she is being taken by boat to another area of the city. Interestingly, she can now see, having received such a strong soul. However, the body remains weak. Realizing that she has lost her powers and is now defenseless, Naksu decides to live as Mu Deok-i until she recovers physically. She is taken to a brothel since the former Mu Deok-i had been sold to work there, and the establishment's boss explains about the Daeho fortress and the heirs of the 4 most important wizard families. The heirs are known as the 4 Seasons. The youngest daughter of the Jin family, Jin Cho-yeon, as beautiful and vital as spring, capable of unique magic. She has an older sister who is missing. Therefore, she is the successor representative of the family. There is also the nephew of the Park family and heir to Songgrim, Park Dang-gu, who has the carefree and outgoing energy of a warm summer. Despite not liking to study much, he is an excellent warrior. The third is the genius of the Seo family, Seo Yul, perfect as the autumn sunset. Despite being a bit reserved, he is very intelligent, has grand martial arts skills, and is the best among the young wizards studying at Songgrim. Lastly, someone we already know, Jang Uk. He is the successor of the Jung family, a man as dazzling and cold as winter snow. Unlike the others, Uk is the only one unable to cast spells. As soon as he was born, his father was tormented by the death of his beloved and by the fact that the child was conceived by the king. Therefore, in front of everyone, he performed a ritual to close the baby's energy gate, preventing him from receiving energy from the heavens and practicing magic. That's why he went through so many masters, as no one dared to defy his father's will. Mu Deok-i is determined to end them all, as she witnessed these families ruthlessly kill her father when she was a child. But before that, she needs to escape from that brothel. In the midst of this escape, Uki finds her and realizes she was lying about being blind. Mu Deok-i threatens him with a crab leg. He finds it amusing but becomes serious when he comments on her beautiful eyes, catching her off guard while still threatening him. Trying to grab an object he offers, she ends up falling comically out of the window. As he watches her run, Uki notices that the technique she used was very similar to that of the wanted assassin Naksu. Later, Mu Deok-i is captured and wakes up in the Yang household, as Uki bought her from the brothel to be his personal servant. He clearly knows that Mu Deok-i is not who she claims to be. So he tests the girl's limits by sending her to fetch hot water for a bath, only to ask for cold water minutes later, then hot water again, and so on to annoy her. She even imagines what she would do to him if she still had her powers, but since she has no abilities, all that's left is to smile and tolerate his demands while getting confused by his cheeky remarks and warming his bed with a brazier. As Naksu tries to resist all these provocations, her true body is being examined in Songgrim, causing concern about the practice of that forbidden sorcery happening again. That's when Yul notices a bird-shaped whistle that Naksu had in her pocket, very similar to the one he had in childhood and gave to a friend in the past. Back at the Jang's house, Mu Deok steals Uki's spiritual pass, which serves as a key to enter and exit Songgrim. But she doesn't get far because a group of hooded assassins attacks the training center, and the boys of the Four Seasons fight to repel them. In the confusion, Mu Deok-i is almost caught again, but Uki goes after her and takes her to a safe place. He continues to tease her, saying he only went after her to see her beautiful eyes. In the moonlight, he sees her true soul. Her eyes shine as blue as the mark left by the soul swappers. Although not obvious to others, the mark was visible to Uki, who is determined to make Naksu his master. Yul appears and almost strikes her with a blow, mistaking her for an intruder, but Uki protects her and informs him that she is his servant. Everyone gathers in Songgrim to uncover the traitor who helped the hooded ones enter and steal Naksu's body. For this, a powerful inheritance from the Jin family is brought by Cho Yan, who casts a spell generating the spirit of a dog capable of sniffing out shapeshifters, that is, swapped souls. The dog heads toward Mu Deok-i. Uki tries to protect her, but fortunately there was another shapeshifter behind them, and it's the one the dog attacks. The malevolent soul manages to defeat the dog but stands no chance against Yul's skills. After defeating him, Yul sees him turn into stone. Mu Deok-i remembers that this will be her fate if she doesn't regain her powers. Uki finds her trying to escape again and promises to protect her if she becomes his master. The smoke dog appears, sniffing out Naksu's soul. Mu Deok-i tries to escape with her slow and fragile body but is soon caught. To save her, Uki smashes the magical jar, making the dog disappear. Tension rises as everyone gathers to see the shards of that highly important family inheritance. Uki tries to apologize for the oversight to his former promised fiancé, Cho Yan. However, the others do not forgive him, and he will face public punishment for it. Mu Deok-i approaches him and thanks him for being the first person to try to protect her instead of killing her. She bids farewell as he watches devastated, seeing his last hope of awakening his powers slip away. While searching for clues about her body, she discovers that she was betrayed by the organization she was a part of while she was Naksu, and also by its leader, Jin Mu, Jang Gang's right-hand man in the past, and the man who trained her to be a great assassin. Furthermore, the current king of Daeho promoted him to the position of leader of the association that controls the country's magic policies, as Uki is too weak to take over his father's position, who is missing. Mu Deok-i returns to the city and finds her original body being burned in the public square at Jin Mu's command. Uki sees her through the flames and approaches with the news that he has recovered her sword. She tries to use the sword in the hope of regaining her powers. However, she can't even touch it, leaving Uki disappointed, concluding that the two are useless to each other. But she refuses to live a common life, so she goes to the top of a cliff and jumps into the magic lake, known as the Tomb of Shapeshifters. She just didn't expect that the energetic waters would give her the strength to regain her powers and unsheath her sword. The problem is that it was all temporary, and she tells Uki that she is too weak to open his energy portal. However, he believes that, even weak, she can train him, and together they will find a way to unleash the hidden magic in his body. In a risky move, Mu Deok-i poisons Uki, saying that she was betting her life on him, and that if he survived, she would accept being his master. When Parkjin and the royal mage Heo Yom arrive, she confesses to poisoning him. She is arrested and tortured, but refuses to reveal the antidote, saying that the only way to save him from death is to open the energy portal for his own powers to eliminate the poison. With no other choice, Heo Yom is forced to perform the ritual to unlock Uki's energy portal. Still recovering, Uki rushes to rescue his master from the torture chamber. Very injured and with a weakened smile, she congratulates him on becoming her student and faints in his arms. The two become closer and start supporting each other from then on. Despite continuing with the teasing, Uki kneels and swears loyalty to his master. She says she will train him but with one condition, When he becomes a true mage and she regains the powers as Naksu, they will cut ties definitively. In training, she explains the necessary skills for casting spells, Ryusu, Chisu, and Hwansu, which give the ability to gather and control water energy. She tries to showcase the impressive skills she once possessed, but quickly loses her breath due to having such a weak body. Even so, she manages to surpass him in combat, defeating him several times while trying to teach him. Although most people take many years to learn these skills, he promises to master everything in a few months. While palpating her pupil in a peculiar way, Mu Deok-i discovers that it might be true, sensing a great source of power channeled within her student, thanks to the royal mage. Mu Deok-i doesn't mind acting as a servant in the midst of training and going through various situations to help her pupil, even if he continues to tease her relentlessly. Over time, she gradually becomes closer to the boys of the Four Seasons. Jang Uk is very friendly and outgoing with her, sharing the same playful and ironic spirit. As for Yul, being the most powerful mage, she starts spying on him and tries to get close to gather useful information to help Uk control all that energy within him. To understand how Yul controls his energy, she pretends to be in love and tries to hug him. However, the powerful mage proves to be no fool. The relationship between them slowly deepens, and he begins to find similarities between Mu Deok-i and Naksu, who by this point has understood that she was his friend from adolescence. Worried about the hidden energy in Uk, Park Jin plans to expel him from Songgrim. He knows that his best friend, the mage Jang Uk, sealed the boy's portal years ago to protect him, as he was born from forbidden magic. Furthermore, if the royal family were to discover that he is actually the son of the former king, the boy could be killed for treason. In addition to being expelled, Uk also receives a severe punishment of 100 lashes from the man who was practically a father to him for losing that blue spiritual pass. After enduring another humiliation in front of everyone, he and Mu Deok-i leave with their heads held high. To heal the weakened body, Uk's energy manifests, making him feel a brutal heat, and then a cold that nearly kills him. Mu Deok-i stays by his side and helps him all the time, with cold baths, wrapping him in blankets, and keeping him conscious. When everything seems to fail, she lies beside him and uses her own body to warm him. The next day, Uk is recovered and stronger than before, but not enough to wield his father's sword. And that's a problem because the crown prince, Go-won, has come to retrieve Jang Gang's and Naksu's swords at the behest of his mentor Jin-mu, who completely manipulates him and pits him against the Four Seasons. Uk refuses to hand over the swords, and the two engage in a duel. Obviously, Uk has no chance, as he has just begun his training and can't even use his energy yet. Seeing him being beaten by the prince, Mu Deok-i throws a dirty water from a chamber pot to stop the duel. The prince becomes furious, and the rest of the Four Seasons arrive in time to witness Mu Deok-i being threatened. As the prince was about to attack her, Uk finally manages to use his father's sword to protect her. The problem is that he can't control all the energy emanating from his body, and against his will, he begins to lethally attack the prince. Realizing the danger, Cho-yeon restrains Uk's uncontrollable arm with a magical bracelet from her family, but that doesn't diminish the prince's fury. Fortunately, Yul manages to persuade the prince to give up on revenge, out of fear of future retaliation against her pupil. Mu Deok-i offers Naksu's sword, flattering the prince. Later, Uk hugs her, overjoyed to have achieved the first of the necessary skills. She tries to stay cool but can't hide the pride that her pupil is progressing so quickly. Uk tries to return to Songgrim, now able to use his energy. The problem is that they tell him to remove the bracelet from his arm, causing him to lose control and attack Park Jin. Jin-mu is furious to learn that Uk also attacked the prince, and they order him to be arrested. Park Jin finds him and tries to convince him to give up his energy and lead a normal life. Uk refuses, and Park Jin takes a drastic step, breaking the boy's heart by telling him a lie, that he was born of his mother's betrayal. In reality, the man wants to hide that Uk is the son of the late king and was born under a constellation known as the King's Star. It was prophesied by the heavens that he would have great power, capable of bringing chaos or peace. Uk is devastated, and not even Mu Deok-i can convince him to return to training. Then she comes up with the idea of challenging the crown prince to a new fair duel, without external interference against Uk. Since Jin-mu wanted to eliminate Uk, he convinces the prince to accept. Thanks to this, and with the help of Uk's friends, she convinces him to flee with her, or he will die in the duel. On the boat, she reveals that they are going to Naksu's house, not to hide, but to train. When they arrive and find the warrior's house, Uk taunts her again, implying that she led him there so they could start a family. With her fragile body, Mu Deok-i faints from exhaustion, and Uki takes her to bed. The current owner of the property arrives, and we discover that he stole the ashes of that smoke dog and transferred it to the body of a mutt. He quickly identifies that Mu Deok-i is a swapped soul and invokes his magic to kill her. But he changes his mind when he realizes that a very powerful soul inhabits that fragile body. Uki wakes up and tries to protect his master, who is having a conversation with the real Mu Deok-i in her dreams, while her student is taking another beating. When the day breaks, Mu Deok-i finds Uki having a very friendly conversation with the same man, and they remind her that it was she who stopped their fight the night before. Soon she and Uki begin to argue, and the man is enchanted by their closeness, asking if they are married. He finally introduces himself as Grandmaster Lee, the more than a century-old man who mastered all skills, capable of controlling wind, water, and fire. As Uki continues to refuse to train, Mu Deok-i becomes irritated, pointing a knife at him and calling him a coward. She heads to the city to plot another one of her schemes, spreading rumors to slander her pupil. Jin-Mu's henchman becomes suspicious and tries to capture her. Fortunately, the crown prince is passing by, recognizes Mu Deok-i, and being a good flatterer, she manages to secure his protection. The prince is enchanted and amused by her personality while offering cup after cup of cinnamon alcohol, which she clearly hates. On the other side of the city, cups of swapped soul victims are found. Dang-gu and Yul begin to investigate. All of this is the work of Jin-Mu, who learned the Alchemy of Souls many years ago from his former master and is now using spells for evil. Park Jin suspects that the death of a former constellation registrar, who happened to be Naksu's father, is related to Jin-Mu assembling an army of shapeshifters. Master Lee arrives in Songgrim to deliver the corpses he managed to snatch from the villain's troop, taking the opportunity to reunite with his former student, the mage Heo Yom. Dang-gu and Yul go after Uki, as they were instructed. Along the way, Yul has vivid memories of the moments he spent with Naksu, until she arrives, but in Mu Deok-i's body, completely drunk and unable to stand on her own. She falls into his arms, and he can't take his eyes off her. The next day, Uki finds her contemplating the magnificent tree that was very special to her. When she was Naksu, she used to climb to the top, but now she fears never being able to do it again. Uki realizes that he needs to become strong to protect her, and promises to return to training hard so that one day he can take her to the top of that tree. Being in that place only intensifies Yul's memories. He remembers the moment in his adolescence when Naksu rejected him upon discovering that he was from the Seo family, one of the families responsible for her father's death. In the same place where she swore to kill him if he ever showed up again, Mu Deok-i calls him for breakfast. She gets upset seeing how bad his culinary skills are. Dang-gu comments on the closeness between the two, and Uki can't hide his jealousy. Yul still offers to take her to the top of the tree, but to Uki's delight she refuses, saying she will wait until her pupil can take her. Now that the friends have left, it's time to train, and Mu Deok-i teaches the spell that was her specialty as Naksu. Tansu, the ability to hit a water droplet with a sword, causing it to explode in energy. Despite her teaching methods being based on shouts and insults, Uki continues to tirelessly try under the watchful eyes of Mu Deok-i and Master Lee, who is almost certain that Mu Deok-i is Naksu. The exhaustive training has its price, and his arm becomes almost raw, risking rotting and killing him if he doesn't control that energy. Mu Deok-i tends to his wound while he argues with her, not because he doesn't care about his life, but because he doesn't care about hers either, as she didn't dodge the sword earlier. The two start a fight, with forehead taps that quickly change the atmosphere due to the daring and double entendre remarks made by Uki. Mu Deok-i replaces her murderous look with one that is theatrically seductive, poking two fingers into his eyes. While the peculiar relationship between the two continues at this pace, Cho-yeon insists on marrying Uki and convinces her mother to arrange the marriage again, believing that this time it will work. Mu Deok-i and Uki return to the city. When she was alone, she is grabbed and taken to the crown prince. He wants her to convince Uki to marry Cho-yeon and give up the duel because he doesn't want trouble with Songgrim. Moreover, he wants her to come and serve him in the royal palace. To his surprise, she rejects the offer. Kim Do-ju, who is practically a mother to Uki, informs him about the marriage to Cho-yeon, and he tells her that he likes another woman. Mu Deok-i meets Cho-yeon, who had plans to distance the servant from her future fiancé out of jealousy. Moments before, trying to use one of the family treasures to make her engagement ring, she stumbles and breaks it. Now she hands over this treasure to Mu Deok-i to later accuse her of being responsible for the breakage. Uki is called to the Jin family's house and is informed that his servant ran away with a limited family heirloom. Now we see what really happened. Upon entering the Jin's house, Mu Deok-i feels a strong wave of energy and is sucked into a secret room of the family, where dangerous magical artifacts are kept. Cho-yeon takes advantage of the situation to lock her inside. While observing a mirror that reflects a different image from reality, she is sucked into it.